Hi folks, John with the Wingman 115 channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm out here in my backwoods playground. We're getting torn up by flies, but we run the gauntlet for you out there. I'm really excited today, as you can tell. I acquired a blade that I've been wanting to test out ever since I saw it at SHOT Show 2016. Got to interview Craig Powell over at Tops. He showcased this blade. I started oohing and on about it. Also got to talk to Joe Flowers personally about it. It's the Tops Brakimo. Boom, in the house. So, as always, we're gonna go to a quick tabletop specs rundown. We'll get up close personal so you can see it. And then we're gonna get to doing some woods tasks out here. And then I'll come back and I'll give you some final thoughts on this blade. You're not gonna wanna miss it, folks. It's gonna be a fun day if we can keep the flies away. Join me. Okay, for the testing portion of this video, I was lucky enough to have a fellow YouTuber come up in the woods and join me today. This is Christopher.
Hey, John.
And Christopher's from?
Black Rifle Survival.
Tell us a little bit about your channel, Christopher.
On my channel, I'm just starting out, but I do a lot of bushcrafting reviews, gear, and packs, and basically getting out and having outdoor adventures, and I enjoy doing that a lot.
I look forward to doing a bunch of collabs with Christopher since we're both here in San Diego, and we both love the San Diego backcountry. Today, Christopher's nice enough going to be hopping in for me, getting his take on this blade as well. So when we get back to doing the final thoughts on this, we'll both chime in on this blade. So without further ado, we'll cut away and we'll get some close-up shots of us using this blade out here in some bushcraft tasks. We're going to test out the chopping capabilities of the Brakimo. Not bad. The grip I liked the best was I hooked my ring finger here, kept my pinky on the back, and it just gave me enough pendulum swing to where this was a very good chopper. Did a very good job. So for bushcrafting, if I have to process wood, whether I'm making a camp tool or I'm just trying to process wood for a fire, that's where that Scandi grind just really shines on this blade. Just great job. What about, say we had to do tent peg. Let's see, this is a harder piece of pine limb, and like I said, I'm holding it. I found that it chops really well when I hold it with that ring finger right where that pommel sweeps, because I can get those good pendulum swinging motion with that, and it just kicks butt. Really good chopper. Right up here in that sweet spot, right before the sweep, going up to the tip of the blade. Works really well. Here in SoCal, I have small pine cones and I have big pine cones. This is a Coulter pine cone from a Coulter pine. We're not going to do that one today. That one's still really green. But I'm using the pommel kind of like a hammer. So if I had to process this cone down, I'm making tinder. Because all about tinder is getting everything as fine as possible so it'll take a spark. So if I sat here just crushing this pine cone down so where it's going to take sparks, not bad. At first I thought the micarta might get in the way, but I think it actually helps it. Now if you're doing dense stuff, then you're going to tear the heck out of that micarta, but on stuff like this, processing nuts and wild edibles, just did a great job. I have Chris out right now. He's scouting. We're going to use this bow drill divot. We're going to attempt to do a bow drill fire. We're going to try batoning this big piece of limb just to see how that Scandi grind's going to bust through there. Thing about these limbs, there's a lot of like corkscrew twists in them. So it'll be a good test for that blade. So we had a chance to gather some items. We made a spindle, we made a bow. Chris is going to illustrate the fireboard and making the divot for that, and then we'll notch it out, and then we'll see if we can't get a fire started with that. That drop point design seems to be working pretty good in there. Almost like a awl on a Leatherman.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and burn this one in.
All right, we're going to burn it in, and then we're going to do a notch on there. It's already smoking. So dry out here.
Yeah.
It's frightening. Oh yeah, you can smell it. Burned it in really good. Now we're going to notch it, and then we'll come back and see if we can't get a quick fire going, then we'll put it out. So what we're going to do now is Chris is going to illustrate how to notch this, and then we'll get to seeing if we can't get a fire going.
So I usually start off at the center, try to go about 3/4 in, and then directly from that center point I'll go 45, and then press in, I'll make a line, and then I'll go 45 to the center line on the right side. And then I'll continue to remove this section here so it'll leave a V notch.
All the way through.
All the way through. And so I'll whittle this out here, and then I'll show you guys how I flare out the bottom so it collects dust more.
Cool.
And you want to be careful with this because you don't want to slice in and take off a corner of the board. So just small steps. Just rocking the blade.
So that's where patience comes in a little bit.
Now your notches don't have to be perfect, just try to make them in the shape of a V. And always pay attention to where you're cutting. So I'm just walking the blade in. And you'll want to continue this all the way around until you get through the bottom. Oops. Be careful. just like notching. Now the shape of the Brakimo on the tip makes it easy for carving tasks. This would be great for a spoon. As you can see, it's starting to take shape in a V. Just keep making your notch. A few more push cuts and we'll be done.
That's where that Scandi grind really...
It bites in perfectly.
Yeah, it's in its element right here.
Okay, so about that far in, we've made our 45, so we've got a perfect V-notch. And what I'm going to do here to add more airflow to the coal is I'm going to flare out these edges. I'm going to bevel them a little bit. So I'm just going to give it more surface area here. And what that's going to do is put the board up higher so you'll still get airflow underneath the board so it's not perfectly flush.
Okay, here's a great tip that Chris suggested since we already burned in our board.
Alright, so knowing that the micarta handle scales here have the bow drill divot for your spindle, or I'm sorry, your bearing block, each time you're going to use it, you'll notice that you're going to burn out your spindle here. So what you want to do is keep this part as frictionless as possible, because that's going to allow your spindle to move fluidly. So you want to keep this as sharp as possible, and you're going to try to take off that black charred spot on the wood, and that will allow it to spin easier. And each time you're doing this, it's going to get shorter and shorter because friction's burning away the material. So I'm just sharpening the tip here so this is going to fluidly move. And then this is also important on the bottom of your spindle. You want to make sure that you remove this black char because this is very hard and that's already burned in, so it's not going to smoke as easy. So you want a fresh surface of wood to work with. So you're going to knock all that black char off as best as possible, and you want to keep it semi-flush. Still want a little bit of a tip in there because you've already burned it in. I'm just working my way around, being careful. Always want to practice safety. And I like to square off the bottom just to give it something extra to bite on. And so this should be ready to go. Alright guys, now when you saw me burning in the beginning, you'll notice that I was using a knife here already on top, pressing down. Now with the bow in my hand, as you can see, this is going to be pivoting on a spindle, which is going to cause the knife to rock around if your spindle's not perfectly straight. I see that as a safety feature that you could hit yourself. Now I'd recommend using the sheath with your knife, so that way your cutting edge is at least put away and you still have access to your divot, so you'll be able to use your spindle more safely. And depending on your grip, you can put it forward. This lines up with the center of my palm, so it's more comfortable to grip it this way. But if you want, you can back it up and grip the knife this direction. So it's up to use your preference, however you want to do that. That's just my little safety announcement for this one.
Yeah, just run it and let it get cherry.
Losing my coal. Oops.
Oh, the winds.
We have success, finally. Third tries the charm.
I love that smell.
It's under the bundle ready.
We got to be careful because there's wildfires, but
We
we got our water. We're good to go, folks. We're responsible.
I think I may have put it out. Did not. Take it let out. Darn it, we lost it.
But for illustration reasons, good job.
Close enough, but keep trying again.
Props out, because I'd never done one before, so good job.
Awesome knife. Definitely recommend this one.
Now for some final thoughts on the Brakimo. Christopher, chime in. Give me your thoughts, and then I'll do a final analysis after.
First and foremost, the blade, excellent. The quality, top notch. The Brakimo, this is actually a knife that I will be purchasing from this moment on, getting a hands-on test of it. Put it through some applications, some feather sticking, and we ended up doing a bow drill divot and attempting to make an ember. But with no avail, this is a great knife. Wanted to say I would approve it definitely. It's just an excellent feel, perfect thickness, very sharp, still very sharp after all the tests we put it through.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we've been using it now for a couple hours. It's been working pretty good. We've been stabbing it, slicing stuff, so
Definitely.
it's been holding up. I like that grind. It looks more like a Scandi Vex to me than a Scandi, but that's not a takeaway. A lot of people had concerns about 1095 steel and using it in wet environments and jungle use. On this, I might do a forced patina on there. Maybe a vinegar patina like I did on my bob would help protect that. And just remember that if you're in a high humidity or a wet environment, you're going to have to do corrosion control on your blades.
Exactly.
I use frog lube on mine, one, because you can eat frog lube, but that's probably about the only purpose I would use frog lube for. I don't use it on my firearms anymore, but that's for a different conversation. I like the profile of the blade. I like the sheath. A lot of people were bagging on the clip. I'm a big fan of this ABS plastic clip. I like that versus the metal because
It's going to ride on your belt differently.
yeah, and it may rub your pants, you know, your high-end $100, $200, 511 pants or whatever you're running and gunning with. But I've had no issues with this clip at all. I know some people either love it or hate it, but the overall performance of the blade, the scales worked really well. They felt good in the hand. They were scalloped out just about in the right places where your index finger and your pinky finger would go in there. Plus, the little thumb ramp on the scale worked really well. The only thing I'd like to see is a 90-degree spine on there for the folks that are out there that are using ferro rods. But for me, for scraping things in bushcraft tasks and making them nice and smooth, we made this whole bowl drill kit with the Brakimo. Yeah, we didn't get a fire starter, but we were pretty close. But keep in mind, we're out here in SoCal, and this is just a wildfire waiting to happen out here. So it's probably God's blessing that we didn't start a fire out here. So you fire rangers out there watching, stand down. We didn't get a fire going. It's all good. But if I had to rate this blade on a scale of 1 to 5, you guys know the drill. 1 being it's a dumper, it's going to the boneyard, we're going to start over. 5, it's a grand slam. Christopher, hit me with it.
5. It's a grand slam.
You giving it a 5? I would give it a 5 too. I like the grind. I like the size. A 5-inch blade, a 5-inch handle. Actually, down here I like this because, as I stated earlier, I could grab with my ring finger and get that pendulum motion. So look, I'm not swinging my whole arm. I'm using minimal effort. It's all about saving calories, right? Use it as a hammer. 5 stars from both channels. Hey, if you're not a subscriber to Chris's channel, go on over, link below, subscribe, check him out. Really cool guy. Look forward to featuring Christopher on more videos as we come out, as our schedule permits. And this is John with the Wingman 115 channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care, folks.